sometimes you need to be an a-hole. Because if you want to survive, people are going to keep using and abusing you, trying to guilt trip you. So you got to know how to defend yourself. You're not defending yourself. You're thinking your defense is letting them step on you. You think your defense is being a pacifist. You gotta be an a-hole sometimes. This sucks. You want to be the kindest person in the world. You want to help everybody out. You want to try to be happy, kind, nice. But if you want to do that, you can still do that. You just need to stand up for yourself. You need to stand up for God, for your family, for your friends. Otherwise, people are going to hunt you down. And you don't know how to defend yourself. Because you're trying to be perfect. You're trying to be pure. You're not Jesus. Even Jesus got angry. He was flipping tables. He was kind of an a-hole sometimes. But he did it for the right reasons. He did it for his intuition. Because he knew he was protecting himself. He was protecting God. He was protecting the world by being an a-hole. It's difficult. Now, I'll give you some steps on how to be an a-hole sometimes in a minute. But first I wanna let you know this. Look at all the greatest leaders, all the greatest politicians, all the greatest actors, fighters. They all have one thing in common. They know how to say no. They know how to stand up for themselves. And a lot of time they are jerks because they get power hungry. They get a big ego. They say no to everybody. They become jerks and don't treat everybody else like humans. But that's only because they're so good at it. So you gotta know how to say no, but you also gotta know how to love people. So there's boundaries between that. You gotta know your boundaries. You're not gonna become like them, but you're also not gonna be stepped on and killed. You're not gonna be a pushover. So let me tell you how not to get stepped on. How to stand up for yourself. First one is pretty easy. You gotta learn to say no. Because even if it's morally right, even if it's something that makes practical sense, you still have the choice to say no to it. Your friends could be like, hey, want to go out to dinner? But you don't always have to say yes. You don't have to say, oh, if I say no, they're not gonna like me. If I say no, they think I'll mean. They will think I'm mean. You gotta say no sometimes. Somebody might be like, hey, can I sit here with you? You might just be no. You might just say no because you don't need a reason for it. If it's your bubble, if it's your choice. Because people are gonna guilt trip you. They're gonna say, what's wrong with helping me out? What's wrong with doing this? But you gotta say, I don't got time. I don't got time. This is not part of my values. I need to work on myself. I can't do this right now. I'm not gonna vape with you. I'm not gonna do this with you. I got my boundaries. I got my trust. And I cannot break that. But most of you guys are scared to say that. Most of you guys are. Let me give you an example, okay? Let's say you see somebody you know do something really wrong, and you notice it, but you don't say anything about it, and you know it's wrong, and you don't like it in your heart. You're like, that's a really bad move. That's a really bad thing to do. And then the next day, you keep showing up and you keep saying, hey, what's up? What's good, man? You keep talking to them every single day. When you know in your heart they did something wrong and you don't want to stand up, you don't want to tell them what they did wrong. You don't want to say, hey, I really don't like what you did right there. You're too scared. You don't want to be an a-hole. You don't want to say, hey, I really don't like this. You don't want to be like, hey, I really don't like what you did. You're too scared. because otherwise they're gonna keep on doing it. Because if you don't say no, if you don't make yourself clear, they will keep on doing it. They will keep repeating these things. And they have to have consequences. These people have to have consequences. You're not always the one to give them the consequence, but you got to make it stated sometimes. Like, hey man, I really don't like what you're doing right now. I know you're a really devout Christian, but I've seen you do these things recently and I really don't like that. Or, hey, I really don't like when you keep touching my chair. I'm trying to concentrate. So you got to make boundaries. Number 2, you got to make boundaries. You got to say no. You got to know when to say no. You got to trust your intuition, because your intuition is not going to be saying yes to everything. Your intuition is not going to be allowing everything to happen, going with the flow, because it's not always peaceful. You don't always have to be a pacifist. So know that sometimes you need to be an a-hole.